Hi, I'm Mr. Marty Kobza, and I am originally from Bellwood, Nebraska, which is a little town by Columbus, Nebraska. I grew up on a farm, one of 8 children, and after that I went to several places pursuing my education. I actually went to college at Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas, and I went there on a football scholarship. And then when I graduated college, my first teaching job was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and taught there, and then went to Phoenix, Arizona, and then back to Atchison, Kansas, where I got married to my wife, Nikki. Taught in Atchison, Kansas, and then from there went to Eudora, Kansas, which is between Kansas City and Lawrence. And then from there went to Wyoming for the last 10 years, and then back to Nebraska. It's good to be back home, closer to my parents. And my family in general, as well as my wife's. I have 5 children and 2 grandchildren. I have 4 daughters, which is why I have a lot of gray hair, and 1 son. 2 kids that are still in school. One is a junior and one is an 8th grader. And that's me.
What is your goal for the school and how do you plan to achieve it?
You know, really the goal is to make it the best that it can be. When I look at that, I like to look at measurables as well. In other words, are students performing well when it comes to not only our ACTs, but also students who are going out into the workforce. And so one of the big goals that I have is that when every student graduates, they either leave with a number of college credits toward their bachelor's degree, and in some cases I hope to have students who leave simultaneously achieving their high school diploma and an associate's degree. And then also to have students who can leave with an industry-based certification. So what does that mean? That means that if a student is wanting to go into the workforce or get some specialized training, those students can leave with a level 1 welding certification, food service certification, ServSafe, CNA. Some type of job that will help them, or I guess certification that will help them get a job that will make a livable wage. And so that's a big thing for me, is to start that happening. And to do that, that has to be built from the kindergarten all the way through. So what do we want kids to know at every grade level, and how do we know that they have the background knowledge to be successful, to leave with one of those things in hand?
What advice would you give a veteran teacher to improve?
You know, our veterans have lots of experience many times. The one thing that I would really advise them is to keep up with what's happening in the trends in education. In other words, what's the latest research say? If someone's been teaching for 30 years, gosh, I'm going to be in education now for 30 years, which doesn't seem possible for me to be that old. But I am. And what it comes down to is to stay current. We know more about the brain, for instance, than we've ever known, and how kids learn. We know more about the fact that reteaching and relearning is one of the most powerful tools that there is. Meaning that if someone makes a mistake on something and then they redo it correctly, learn it in a different way, whatever it may be, that's one of the most powerful learning experiences that we can have. It commits things into long-term memory rather than just something that's regurgitated on a test. And so it's those types of things that we need to continue to work not only with new staff but veteran staff on, is to make sure that they understand what's happening out there, what's research saying. Education is a science. It's not just something we do or we pull out a file that we've always had. What are some of the greatest practices we can have? And so that's part of what we'll do, is to make sure that that information is in front of our staff.
What 3 words would your peers, students, and administrators use to describe you?
You know, I think determined is one. Student-centered, meaning that our building, our school, should be built around the needs of students, not the needs of adults within the system. And then the last one is problem solver, which doesn't always make me a great listener, but I do like to solve problems.
Thank you, Mr. Kobza.
You're welcome.